G'day, welcome back to my Fly Corp game, and as you can see they have now pushed the updates to the look of the map to all of us. So we can now, we may struggle to have planes fly from any direction on long thoughts as it does make connections, but it looks a little bit prettier. So, this day I've gone back and forth with this a few times, but got Japan now, so I reckon it is time. We're bringing him in. $1.8 million. Let's watch Russia bring us to our knees. Okay, so firstly what I want to do is just finish connecting all of the different cities of that I've got, with the exception of Russian cities. So down here we're currently ending in Cambodia. No, sorry, Vietnam. And what we will do here is I'm going to make the gap here. Oh, we've got these new options too, where we can sort of do all sorts of neat things. What we're going to do is sell the route. So what's cool here is that we can go... we want a level 5 plane on our new route. Save us having to level it all the way up, although logically you would think a level 6 plane would be what most people would eventually cap at, that you don't need to ask for a 5, eventually we just want a 6. That surely if you're going to add 1, it would be a level 6 plane, because that just means that you're just spending money. But who am I to question? Alright, so at the moment what we're going to do is we're going to bounce just up to Tokyo. My hope is that we get a city north of Tokyo that makes this sort of connection back a little bit smoother. Eventually, if we've got a more southern city too, we could have a sort of more rounded... that we can have guys go one way and guys come the other, but because they're in a straight line at the moment, the string rule of my string challenge wouldn't necessarily work, and these cities would probably overlap each other with their routes if we went any other way. So for now, it's going to be a long route from Tokyo. And we'll just make sure that we've got these guys of a reasonable level. I do really like the actual change in the color of the unselected countries. I think it makes it a much nicer sort of clear definition between what is discovered and what isn't. Alright, so what I want to have a look at here, because apart from just sort of like waiting for Russian cities to come in, now we're basically just having a look to see how we're surviving. So I want to see how we're doing in South America. This is the end of the route, and I do like that we can go upgrade all planes. Which means that if I've got planes that are already sitting on, like, say, opposite connections of the way they're going, I don't have to... I don't have to sort of, like, sit there and make sure I'm keeping them spaced. So what we're going to do here is, unsurprisingly, this route is struggling a little bit since it's only got 2 planes, and this guy, sorry, only has 1 plane. This guy has 2, this guy has 2, that guy has 2. This guy also only has 1. So... again, it doesn't matter if they're off-centered or not, because they're going different speeds. So that guy there probably only needs the 1. He's then got 2, and then I assume this guy's got 3. Yeah. So hopefully that smooths them a bit further out. We've got this guy here. I assume it's going to be his north is his problem. We'll give him a 300-seater. See if that causes this guy problems. It probably will. We'll give him a level 3 plane. Oh, we already addressed that guy. Apart from that, we've got this guy here. It's heading north. That's his problem. which is this way. It is that way, right? So, yeah, so what's his grief? Why is that guy doing so much better? He's got 2 full-blown jets. So, upgraded that guy once. Give him 3 planes going at a bit more of a click. Just give him a 300 seater because we don't want to like offset all the ones beyond him that are going to have problems from that. Definitely that one's just the size of the airport issue. This guy's under a little struggle, so let's just give him a level 3 plane. That guy can have a level 3 plane. I'm getting a lot more generous with my level 3 planes here. North, so you're this tiny little route here. You're struggling. Part of me is curious just to see what happens if I add 5. Like, if there was now a button that I could do that would do a sweeping upgrade to all of them. If that was level 6, not level 5, I would consider just upping all of them. Just give everyone 5 in, say, South America. What happens? Does it just sort of make that continent, since there's nothing beyond it, so it's only got a limited sort of like distance it has to travel, does that make it a little bit more efficient? So it looks like it's this guy here that's actually struggling a little bit in that connection. I have started looking at potential new holidays. I don't remember if last time I said I was potentially looking at doing Central America. I ran into issues with the amount of time I wanted to do in this trip versus how much I could get through. I really wanted to try and get through all 7 of these countries. I'm not sure if I did talk about this or not. I was looking at going Guatemala through Honduras and down to San Jose, then fly to Panama, and then back to the US, and missing Belize. But then I had a look at what was in Guatemala and North Guatemala and Belize, and I saw that's the really cool Mayan stuff that I was like, oh, maybe that's what I actually should be aiming to do. Then the idea of getting to here and getting so close to all these countries and not visiting them, I was like, nah, you'd almost want more time. So I scrapped that and went, all right, well, what about if I just try and go to Cuba? Just sort of travel the long end of Cuba. So Australians don't have the same limitations as Americans do in terms of getting to Cuba. We can get tourist cards, which means that we can use that as a visa and allows us to enter Cuba, except we're not allowed to enter Cuba through the United States. If you land in the United States, you have to use a United States issued visa to enter Cuba, and the United States doesn't give tourist visas. So it would mean to get there, I have to not go through America. Now, I assume that just means the last port, because what I would then do is I would fly from Australia to Houston, fly from Houston to Cancun, and then just fly from Cancun to Havana. Problem solved. The question then I have is, well, then I assume I can just fly from Havana direct to Houston after that, which that flight does exist. And the one thing I did wonder about that is would there be more scrutiny? Would there be more scrutiny about where you've been coming back from Cuba than from any other country? Like, would you have to go through an additional screening or anything? Like, is there like extra effort there? Essentially, are you better off flying back to Cancun and to the United States rather than direct to the United States? Is the extra flight worth effort? I wouldn't think there's too much more, but who knows? It's not like, I think like the embargoes and things on Cuba are sort of just dated at this point. There's no real need for them at all. Where are you heading? Chicago. But that's part of the reason that I think it would be really neat to go and see Cuba now, is that there is going to become a point where the embargoes are lifted and Cuba can just look like every other country in the world. But before that happens, there's this fascinating old world country where so many of the cars look like they're from the 1950s, and they won't have chains of restaurants and like franchises of different stores and things. And there's a clock on that. Eventually, as soon as America goes, all right, all the embargoes are lifted, your American tourists are free to travel to Cuba. The cruise ships that go around around the Bahamas and Cuba and things can go to Cuba, and that relationship's mended. That's over, and which is a really sort of funny give and take, because that's a very good thing for Cuba. But as long as the opportunity exists to see that country in the version of it that currently exists, it feels like it feels like it'd be interesting to see. So that one's on the board. So at the moment, I'm just trying to understand the logistics of, is there any issues with if I attempt to do it, and I go through, do I have to go, like, is there any issue going through America before getting there? I assume not. All the fun logistical stuff of it. Birmingham, Houston. So all of that's north. Give you a third 300-seater too. It's another a sort of thing that I've come up with when traveling, is that a lot of the off the beaten path sort of trips that I've done have been because I've one of the conditions has been it's somewhere that my wife doesn't have any interest in traveling, so I'll go there as just sort of like a trip on my own or with friends, and because she has no interest in it, if it's somewhere that she has interest with, then I will go with her. But then I've found that now I've also got an extra condition that I've given myself, is it's a place I don't want to take my daughter. So there's certain places that I don't think my wife has overly much interest in going to, but potentially if my daughter has the adventurous bug that I do in 10 years or so, I'll just take her. But I think that's where I can sort of play the thing with this one, is that, do I think the Cuba will be the same now in 10 years? And it's like, well, that's not a guarantee. So that's where my motivations are for that one. So let's have a quick look at Russia as well, our new entry today, and I will sort of put a few more hours into, we'll let the game run, let sort of Russia grow, and hopefully we'll see an absurd amount of cities pop up for us. Russia, or the Russian Federation, largest country in the world. Not written here, but I'm pretty certain that it's got a larger surface area than Pluto. Oh, we've got another Chinese city in here. With its internationally recognized territory covering 17 million square kilometers, or 6.6 million square miles, encompassing 1/8 of the world's inhabitable landmass. It extends across 11 time zones and shares land borders with 14 countries. More than any other country but China. It is the world's 9th most populous country and Europe's most populous, with a population of 146 million. And obviously, largest city and capital is Moscow. And it's the largest city entirely within Europe. I wonder what that seems very specific. That I wonder if there's there's a city not entirely in Europe that it's saying like, well, technically. So in terms of ethnic groups in Russia, 81% are Russian, 4% are Tatar, which is an umbrella term for different Turkic ethnic groups. There you go. Alright, Xi'an is not happy. Just give both sides of that a extra plane. Did I already give this side a plane? No. Slightly longer, so we'll give it a slightly bigger plane. Now, because I'm going to let this run, what I actually might do is also drag Indonesia into this. I realize that that leaves these guys sort of bridge between, but Indonesia's the one that I expect to see a lot of cities pop up in. So in the name of allowing like offline expansion, they're the two countries I think we want to see going. So learn about Indonesia, my neighbor to the north. Indonesia, officially the Republic of Indonesia, is a country in Southeast Asia and Oceania between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. It consists of over 17,000 islands, including Sumatra, Java, Sulawesi, and parts of Borneo and Guinea. Indonesia is the world's largest archipelagic state and the 14th largest country by area at 1.9 million square kilometers or 700,000 square miles. With over 275 million people, Indonesia is the world's fourth most populous country and the most populous Muslim majority country. Java is the world's most populous island. Java is the world's most populous island and home to more than half the country's population. Well, that would mean that that island has more than 100 million people on it. Is that Java? Yeah, I would definitely say that it's the most populous island going around. Need to just double check that actually. Yes, that's Java. What I find quite funny is in the islands of Indonesia, Bali is the one that's most visited by Australia, or the most famous one in Australia, as it is sort of, as if you're an American, it would be, as mentioned earlier, not in the same vein, but it's almost like the Cancun of Australia. If you're heading overseas, somewhere where stuff's cheap, Bali is where you're headed, which is one of these guys in here. I think it's that one. And then so it's really funny to say, read something like Michelle Obama's book and how she talks about sort of Barack Obama's mother who moved to Indonesia. So I think he grew up in Indonesia for a part. And when he wrote his book, he went back and she talks about him going back to sort of like the beautiful islands, and it was Bali. And as an Australian reading that, it's like that's not the image that like that generates in my mind. I've never been though. Indonesia is one that I've not yet visited. It does seem like it would be an easy one to go to Bali. There are definitely two very sides of the opinion of that for Australians. There are people that say, no, go in there and you just need to know where to stay or get a holiday house, go with a whole bunch of friends, and then you can sort of just like really just enjoy it. Whereas then there's the crazy party side of it, where that is obviously where it gets a bit of its bad name from. So it's sort of like, it depends on what you do, but never done it myself. The other time that I've considered it is that if you visited Singapore down here, there's a few Indonesian islands up here that you could go and visit that have sort of resorts on them for like Singaporeans to get away. And that's the other sort of option to it. Go to Singapore and then do a little bit of island hopping, because they're sort of very close. Very close, yes, via ferry. So they're very close. Got a few of these guys we can see sort of catching red a bit with their one plane setups. I've given him a full-blown jet up there. I want you to be level 2. No, you're still not agreeing with me? There we go. At the moment, it's just going to be the longer range ones of these. I wonder what city would currently sit as the center of this layout. I'm never going to find out. But it would be interesting. I would guess it's going to be one of these West Coast African ones. Somewhere up here, probably at this stage. But as we get more... Although if Russia's going to be connected... it depends on where Russia's going to be connected. So you can already see the breakdown here. Petersburg's definitely going to go up here. Moscow's probably going to come in here somewhere. And then more guys we're going to have along here. But we could get guys in the very north. So we are definitely going to see it sort of all over the place. But again, it depends on how many they want to give us. The like I said, I have played modes in this where I have seen Anchorage and Waikiki sort of show up, but they've never sort of offered it to us. I realize the game can't handle the amount of cities that I've currently got, but I would love to see more. Like, there are definitely huge gaps in the United States there, and in India, and in China. Like, look at China. Come on. Come on. Make me uncomfortable here. You really make me have to work for this. It looks like that guy definitely needs at least a second plane. We'll treat him to a third. East Timor's snuck off. So that's another one that's very close. That's a very new country though. So I think politically, I don't know how stable East Timor is. Papua New Guinea's hit or miss as well. I have had friends whose friend whose father used to work in Papua New Guinea, and he was allowed in the hotel, the golf course, sort of country club, and the work office, and that was it. He sort of got driven between those 3 points, and he was told not to go onto the streets of Port Moresby at all. So, hard read on that one. Alright, let's see what we got. This is the one that really fascinates me, when we've got sort of a setup like what we've got in Europe, where we've got this really long route on the outside, but these tiny little routes, like look at that to that to that, like these are all the same sort of size, but we're not like they're both just stuck as red. Like this guy is permanently getting smashed with too many planes. Assume yours is south is your problem there. Berlin's also struggling a bit. Birmingham, Toronto, so it's still the same. So I've seen a few more Birmingham. One of our popular... Assume it's that Birmingham, right? It's not going to be Alabama. This guy down here. Could be either. I suppose we can find out, actually. We can click on him and then click on Birmingham. UK. So at least they don't have, well, I was going to say they don't have too far to go, but you've just got to, Berlin, you've got to get through every city in Germany, through Switzerland, through southern France, tip of Italy, more southern France, Spain, Morocco, out into the islands, through Portugal, back through Spain, back through France, up through Belgium and the Netherlands, and through the heart of the United Kingdom. I mean, if you journeyed anywhere from sort of like the rest of the world, I would have said just get to North Germany and drive to the Netherlands. There is a bus company that is 100% making bank from this airline. All right. I'd say you're just not leveled up, which is why it looked bad and then suddenly looked good. Really guess where your grievance is. Surprised that you guys aren't struggling anymore. Although I've done a few ads. Probably not enough to actually cause us to freak out. But it looks like we've got to keep upgrading these guys. So let's get him to level. Oh, not what I wanted to do. The other thing that we could do here is there's actually no reason that we need Mongolia to connect through China. We could have Mongolia connect through Kazakhstan. Those two connections there are probably significantly shorter than the two that currently exist. It would just be that we go, well, we would connect this guy to sort of here. We'll get Zibo to connect to Dalian, and then just get these guys to connect Beijing to go down to Tangstan, and then up here, down. Good work. Will I do it at this stage? Nah. Wait and see what Russia has in store for us, and another long wait. And if a long wait does actually give us more Chinese cities, because we did see one sneak in there. Still a yearning for China. These guys up here are all a bit unhappy too. Don't know why I gave them an extra plane. Nothing wrong with them. St. Petersburg does sit between two guys that sort of bounce in. Possibly what we might do is divide those two up. Stop that direct connection between Helsinki and Berlin. Well, we might call it there for this one. Our new look pretty map. We will get, so we've got Russia, Indonesia, our two new ones, and when you next see us, hopefully the two of them are going to be well populated, and genuinely fingers crossed that I see a few more cities in China too. I would like to see that way more padded out, but I'm pretty sure I've already given China a previous long wait to limited success. So we shall see. Any questions or comments, feel free to chuck them below. And until next time, catch you later.